Welcome back, everybody, to Coastline Racing Season 2 here at the Mexico City Grand Prix, Weekend 3. Ollie, how are you doing today, my friend?
Good. I'm doing good, Nick. I'm doing good. I love to be here in Mexico. It's nice and hot. So,
Looking at quite an interesting race this weekend. Let's run you down the grid. In P1, we've got Richardson in the Red Bull. P2, George in the Aston Martin. P3, Cole in the AlphaTauri. And P4 is going to be Hunt in the Alpine.
it's gonna be an exciting race.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
This week, first time we're seeing the Aston Martin this season. Thoughts?
Like we said in the start, he's had the engine trouble, but I think the lights are going out here, Nick.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Here we go.
Lights out and away we go. Lap 1 of the Mexico City Grand Prix. Wow, off to quite the start by the Red Bull and the AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri getting quite a jump there, if you saw that.
Oh, AlphaTauri is zooming down
AlphaTauri
in
and
the
the Aston
middle,
Martin.
3 wide.
Nice pass there on the Red Bull. Looks like the AlphaTauri will get through. He manages to hold off the Aston Martin.
And the Red Bull.
Quite
After he
intense
tries
there
to-
through the first couple of corners, and looks like the Aston Martin is playing some tricks with the camera here. Oh, and he manages to somehow get past the Red Bull there. Oh, collision between the Aston Martin and the Red Bull. That looked to be more on the Aston Martin side, but as we could see, there is clearly some issues with his vehicle, so maybe that's the situation. Let's take a look here down the order at the Alpine. The Alpine here. Hunt, of course, in the Alpine, having going off track a little there. Had a pretty good showing last weekend in Imola. Will he be able to continue it this weekend? What are you thinking?
Oh, I'm thinking that we can see he's struggling. I don't know what he's doing here. I
That
think
was,
he's just.
yeah, that was a bit rough into those corners there, but hey, you know, it's a bit of an adjustment period.
I think his
Oh.
tires are just very hot. No, I mean his tires are just very cold, and he's not
We
very.
did have
used to
some,
them.
oh my goodness, we had some
Oh.
lockup and some engine trouble here. The Alpine in the wall. He will be okay in continuing, so we will take a look up the order here, see what the AlphaTauri is doing.
Nick, he's holding. Oh, we've seen the Aston Martin get past.
We
the
did see
Red
that
Bull
earlier.
lap.
Oh, and we are
after he's-
being... Okay, hold on here. We are being told that the Alpine has suffered severe damage from that collision. And it looks like they're in the pits. We're not sure if they're out yet. Okay, and we have confirmed it. They will be out of this session. So first lap, lockup, bit of a disaster for the Alpine. They're going to be out today. Yeah,
Nick,
what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like the AlphaTauri's got a good lead. He's what is this? The first time we've seen him in the lead this season?
I'm not sure. I think we did see it last weekend as well, briefly. Although I don't recall quite the details. As you can see, everyone running a little wide on that corner. Surprisingly, the Red Bull in P3 right now, and this has been, you know, not by a small gap, that's for sure. Oh, and we just saw the Aston Martin, massive collision there with the wall, having the same problem we just saw from the Alpine. It might be something to do with this track.
Nick, I think he's having
I think there's gonna. Okay, yeah. So that is looks like he's going back to the pits. We're focusing on his position here. Coming back now. Let's just look at the AlphaTauri here. And
I
the
think
Red
he
Bull.
ran wide then, Nick. I think he ran wide to let the Red Bull catch up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know Mexico is a track that always has some struggles with the with grip, right? The surface is a very I'm not really sure what, you know, the situation is, but everyone's always complaining about grip on this track. So it's important to keep that in mind that, you know, we've seen two drivers here have the same issue. Not necessarily the same corner, but the same issue on corners close to each other. But it is important to mention here the Red Bull is catching up on the AlphaTauri, excuse me, not the Alpine.
It's just showing how Richardson has now adapted to the track. He's learned in one lap, and he's just flying through it. He's catching up to Cole.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we see-
I think the Red Bull here is definitely putting some pressure on as we see Cole runs wide in the AlphaTauri on that pass turn, trying to keep a bit of a gap. But the Red Bull is just simply faster right now. Let's close in on this Red Bull.
I do have.
And there's a collision. Oh, there's two collisions there between the Red Bull and the AlphaTauri. It seems like the AlphaTauri will be continuing, and so will the Red Bull. That was a little bit concerning there. Obviously, the second collision, definitely what I'm a little bit interested to look at there. Coming into the last corner, they're still fairly close. Looks like the Red Bull does have some damage there to the front wing, as we saw in that turn.
I do have some data for everyone. Obviously, we weren't able to get to it at the start, but Richardson is on the C3s. Cole is on the C4s, and so is George. Hunt was on the C4s, but he, as we saw, retired and is out.
Yeah, the Alpine is out of this race after that first lap collision. Really, I think this is definitely an important race of the season, though. We're at the third race. You know, the first two races, I think, could be argued somewhat of a bit of a disaster for everyone involved, really. I mean, the first race, every team, more so the AlphaTauri and Alpine, were struggling quite a bit the first weekend. And actually, let's keep our eyes on this action here. The AlphaTauri and the Red Bull very close here. I think the Red Bull's trying to find a good spot to overtake, and it might be on this straight here as they go through the corner. And the same issue that we've seen George and Hunt have. We just saw the AlphaTauri lock up there. Not quite as bad, didn't go into the wall, but we did see the same problem.
I think, Nick, it's just all that pressure. He has the current leading drivers' champion behind him, and he's under a lot of pressure there, trying not to give up the position, and he's just, I think, went into the corner too deep and locked up.
Absolutely. I mean, that is something we always seem to overlook, right? You know, it's very easy to say, you know, that racing in front is the easiest position, but often it's not, right? You're the one who's got to make these decisions, right? You're the one who's got to be defending the position, and sometimes that could be just as hard as the person needing to overtake. Anyways, coming here, lap 5, we've already seen a couple of incidents here. Hopefully it, how should I put this? Hopefully it slows down almost a little bit. Ironically, obviously, talking about some of the fastest cars in the world, and we want them to slow down. But this is a lot of collisions, a lot of, basically dangerous situations we've had with two cars in the wall already. The Aston Martin reportedly is also having now some further trouble. Actually, would we be able to check in on that? We are, yeah. So reportedly the Aston Martin is suffering some engine trouble here, or maybe a brake issue. We haven't been told exactly. But as we can see, the Aston Martin here trying to catch back up. Now, P3, that isn't bad, right? I wouldn't say that's bad necessarily.
Still podium. Some data has come through. So obviously we've got everyone set up. Cole is running a high downforce setup.
Oh my.
Oh my. When we've been told that.
Okay.
Is this Tokyo?
Tokyo drifting around the track here. The Aston Martin struggling quite a bit.
Quite some impressive drifting skills, but obviously not being able to stay on the track as much.
It seems like we're back on the straight here. We're back. Aston Martin seems to be all good now. My oh my, was that an interesting sight to see there, an F1 car drifting around the final corner in Mexico City. But without spinning, it's pretty good.
That's a first, Nick. Have you?
No, I have not. Let's check back in with the AlphaTauri here, who is trying to catch the Red Bull, keeping a good pace, I would say. You know, a second to 2 seconds above the Red Bull, now under a second. Running a little wide there, but that does happen quite often on that corner on this track. And the AlphaTauri spins. Probably going to see a bit of front wing damage there.
I do have an update. There has been a fastest lap. It's going to be from Cole, a 124.8.
Cole is in the wall at the moment. Okay, he's back on track now. There was some trouble there. That should give the Aston Martin a chance to kind of catch up a little. Let's stay with the AlphaTauri for now. About a 16 17-second gap now to the Red Bull.
I think,
Yeah.
to be honest, I think the AlphaTauri is just trying to imitate the Aston Martin there.
Yeah,
Clearly
trying
doesn't
to
have
just
enough
around the final
consistency.
corner. Interesting. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's definitely something that we don't see a lot on many tracks, because generally when we're talking about a struggle for grip or something, the problem is fixable with, you know, maybe a softer compound, or maybe it's just a driver setup issue. But on this track, I mean, we've seen 3 people do the same thing, right? We've seen the AlphaTauri, we've seen the Alpine, and the Aston Martin all have the same issue. You know, at this point, what are we thinking? Is this, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this must be a track issue, because 3 cars, 3 different drivers have had the same problem. On almost 2 on the same corner, and overall, 3. Oh, and the AlphaTauri just hits the wall. Okay, maybe that was just worse than it looked. It's back driving again. It's running very wide there. Let's check in with our race leader, Richardson, here. Currently a 22 second gap to Cole. Let's take a look on board here with the Red Bull. Coming down the main straight here. Oh, in the grass. Oh my. That might be a driver issue there. That might have been a driver issue. I'm not sure.
A little error there.
Yeah, driver error.
I think that the Red Bull has obviously, we've seen tremendous skill from him these past 3 races. Obviously now we've got the Aston Martin back on the grid after all those engine issues and car issues, and I think P3, that's still impressive. First race podium. It's just obviously unlucky for Hunt to be out the race so quickly.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, you know, the thing is this was a big race especially for the Alpine team, who's fighting for P2 in the championship, both constructors and drivers. Actually, let me pull up that specific data here. We should have it, and yeah, the Imola. So as it stands after Imola, right? Not accounting what could happen this race. They are a 1.5 points behind AlphaTauri. So let's keep that in mind, that they are 1 point. So any position, well, I mean, as it currently stands, obviously they would have had to add, P2 to surpass the AlphaTauri and the constructors and the drivers. But obviously them going out this race, and as it stands, AlphaTauri being in P2 makes it pretty unobtainable, you know, to really get back within 1 race, unless they're obviously able to win with a fastest lap. But let's be realistic here. What we've seen so far from Red Bull and from Richardson, it's not looking like that's going to be doable. The fastest lap for sure is not something that, to me, looks like it's going to be doable, you know, in short order, right? Oh, and we have some issues with the Red Bull there, sliding around a lot. Seems like they have it under control. Seems like he got it under control, and he's back to pace now. You know, it might be the tires giving out just a little bit here. I mean, it is only lap 9, 10. But
I think it's because Mexico is just such a hot track, and obviously we see Richardson here on the second softest compound C3s on this track. And I think he's just, it's just so hot that the tyres are struggling.
Absolutely. I mean, it is difficult to really make a accurate tire prediction on this track, right? We are always, on this track especially, between, you know, generally we're on the side where we're saying things will degrade faster than they do, but it looks like today the degradation of the tire is much worse than expected. We were expecting the mediums to go much farther, but just judging by the turning and all that we're seeing here from Richardson, my assumption, without any more info for us, is that the tires are already struggling a little bit.
As we see, Richardson's just taking those corners a bit slower, trying to preserve those tires, I believe.
I mean, he does have a 23-second lead, right? There's no reason to push it here. Let's go to the wing cam. We don't use this one that often, so, you know, let's get some usage out of it here. Seems like he's keeping quite a good pace here coming through these corners. You know, definitely a little slower than we've seen him, especially when he was catching the cars in front. But overall, you know, his speed here is going down by the looks of it. But that being said, the other cars aren't catching up. So
with Richardson, we can see that. Sorry for the wrong thing. Last lap, he did get a 1:27.1410.
okay, so that's definitely slower than we've seen him in laps before then.
Yeah, the last lap 9 and 10 are basically the same, and then lap 8 and 7 and 6 are basically 3 seconds quicker than what he's doing currently.
Wow, so that is an interesting thing to look at. Let's take a look at the AlphaTauri, see where we are. Obviously, let's check in with the other cars. I mean, it's not quite as eventful as I expected initially in these early laps, just because of all these sliding issues and, you know, running wide and such. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. As we could just see, the AlphaTauri just went wide a little bit there.
Exactly.
Everyone's just struggling with their tires. Like, he's looking up, and I think the track's just very hot. His brakes are very hot.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely something we need to keep in mind here. It is very difficult to deal with a lot of these elements, such as, you know, expedited tire wear, right? I don't think anyone's on the hards, or even anyone started on the hards. I don't think we've seen any real pit stops yet, except for the Alpine when it went out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Taking it drifting again.
Yeah, this is rough. We're just gonna try to stay away from the Aston Martin here. We're gonna go back to Cole, see what's up. The Aston Martin right now, we got about 30 seconds gap here on the Aston Martin. So basically, I don't know. I mean, at this point, honestly, it's, you know, I guess we could just go to kind of asking, what do you think is going to happen here? I mean, we're on lap 12, and, you know, the competitors are pretty far apart already. This is not something you usually see till the first set of pit stops, and the different strategies come into play, right? Usually, I feel like this kind of gap wouldn't be expected, or, I mean, it would be, but not of this extent, right? Maybe 6-7 seconds, but 22. I feel like that must be a result of just, you know, the different setups, the different drivers, and the lack of grip that we're seeing from pretty much all cars.
I think that Richardson has a very big lead. It's gonna just be interesting to see losing grip. I think he touched the grass there a little bit.
Definitely went on the curve too much. Maybe got some grass there, and has now spun out. Oh my! And back into the wall. That is like the 4th or 5th collision incident that we've seen on that corner. So now 40 seconds behind the Red Bull. You know, I don't know. It's quite hard to really say too much, because this race, I feel like, was really a matter of these drivers needing to, you know, really step up their game. And, you know, obviously last week that was also the case, but the issue I saw with last week is it was completely wet, right? The session was red flagged. It was raining a lot. So we didn't really get to see any of the teams bring their A game, right? You know, the majority of races it's not raining. The conditions aren't terrible. The conditions are generally pretty good. Just like, I mean, today we're seeing good conditions. It is unfortunate that obviously the grip issues we're seeing, but conditions are good. So to me, this is kind of a replacement of the second race, right? First race was a disaster. The Red Bull took it by, I don't know. There's multiple safety cars even, and the Red Bull was still able to come out on top with very little competition. I really have to say it. I mean, I hate to be the one to say it, but really little competition the first week.
I think in the second race, after the second safety car, there was just a little bit of competition, but then it was just some unlucky stuff going on for Cole, and the Alpine, as they both spun, gave Richardson a lead, and it's just that bit of unluckiness that you can see from the last two races in the start. But now we're really starting to get into the season. Next week, where are we going next?
Next weekend will be Belgium. We will be going to Spa. Oh, and Cole's little bit of a collision with the wall there. And we'll see our first real pit stop, probably to go repair that wing. It's taken a lot of hits. Interesting entry into the pits there. You know, this is the kind of thing. Oh, and we aren't going to get to actually see the pit stop. So let's check in with the Red Bull. Here, we'll go to the TV cam here. Yeah, I mean, sorry, the thing that I was trying to say there just before we caught that pit stop and all that. Oh, and the Red Bull slipping quite a bit there. Wow, that, you know, again, we're seeing some grip issues again here. But the thing I was trying to say about Spa is...
getting lapped.
Yeah, it looks like Cole is about to get lapped. He is not lapped yet, I believe, right? No, he's not.
Now he is, I think.
No. Oh, he's still in the pits. No. He's out on track in front. So he is almost lapped. Well, let's just confirm that. Yeah, no, Cole is not lapped yet. Cole is not lapped yet. But the thing I was trying to say, and, you know, things have been coming up here and there, obviously, in this race, but the thing I was trying to say about Spa is, generally, this is not a race we see early in the season. You know, this is usually after the first break, or near the end of the season.
Yeah.
It was last season in Coastline Racing, and I believe as well in the, you know, the real world counterparts. We also saw it quite early or quite late after the break. Not late, but after the break. Here we're having it quite early. And the thing that really brings up to me in regards to that is, I'm kind of thinking here, that's really good for every team, because Spa is a track that really allows you to get the most out of your car, right? You have turns, but you don't really have any
90 degree.
You don't really have, you don't have a lot of the things that we have on other tracks where it requires a lot of, you know, low speed turn accuracy, right? Which is something that we've seen cars struggle with a lot. We've seen the Alpine, the AlphaTauri spin, and then we've also seen the Red Bull have trouble getting out of those corners with speed. And that's just simply because as it looks so far this season, the AlphaTauri and the Alpine do have better, basically, cornering ability than the Red Bull. The Red Bull slows down a little bit more to make that turn. Maybe it's a setup thing, but it is a definite slowdown. And then the speed up is also slower. The acceleration after the turn and the ability to carry speed is definitely favoring the Alpine and the AlphaTauri. But, you know, as much as, you know, most analysts, most commentators, spectators, whoever might disagree with me, I think Spa really does give the opportunity to see more of the driver's talent. I think it's going to be a matter of which driver can drive better, not which car can do better. Because obviously here in Mexico, even if it was a closer race, even if we didn't have the issues with George and Hunt, we would still be seeing the Red Bull with a sizable advantage and lead, you know, as long as the driver was still doing the same. As long as Richardson keeps this up, we'd still be seeing the same problem, because simply the Red Bull is just the faster car on turns like this. It's not really a turn. It's mostly straights, right? We know Richardson's very good with this car. He feels comfortable with this car. We see, and the AlphaTauri has spun again, so now the AlphaTauri will be lapped by the Red Bull. Let's check in. Oh my. The Red Bull again having some grip issues there, coming through the final corner. That's a very dangerous corner to slip on, as it's, you know, a lot of walls and a lot of kind of ways you could spin out of control and hit different things, right? It's one of the worst places to spin on this track, in my opinion. Let's
Nick,
check in with the AlphaTauri, though.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
About Spa next week. Obviously, I wanted to focus on this more, but
of course, but we take what we can get.
We've seen that last season, Hunt and Richardson had a quite close battle in Spa for the lead. Richardson did come out on top, but what do you think is going to happen?
Well,
It
absolutely.
was a very close fight. Sorry, it was a very close fight.
Well,
Richardson.
that's kind of the thing I was talking about. That's kind of the thing I was talking about, right? Is I think Spa is a track of driver skill because hard there's no hard braking zones except for the last corner, right? That little uphill part, which we see a lot of drivers struggle on for sure. But there isn't so much. I don't know how to put this, you know what I mean, Ollie? I'm struggling here to put it into the correct words because I'm not trying to discredit any track or any driver or any skill, right? Obviously, it takes a lot of skill to drive all these tracks. It takes a lot of skill. Oh, and the AlphaTauri in the wall again. Quite unfortunate to see.
I believe.
Let's see. Let's see. Actually, we'll stay with the AlphaTauri. See if it can catch up here. It is lapped, but it is 9 seconds currently away from the Red Bull. So if it can catch that and unlap itself, we could have an interesting race on our hands. But yeah, that being said, I think without being taken the wrong way, I do think that Spa does give everybody a chance because the last corner, there's only really one way to do it right. Right, there's no creative lines you can really take through the last corner, that I think would gain too much time, just because it's such a risky corner to take in a different way, right? It's uphill, it's steep. You can't really floor it out of, until you're really out of the corner. So it's all about carrying speed in, which means the entry is generally the same for most cars. So any overtakes there are really a high driver skill, situation, right? Because you got to keep your steering, you oversteer, understeer, right? So I think that alone just makes it such a driver's skill track and not so much a what car is better track, right? In regards to Richardson and Hunt in last year's race, last season's, it was last year, but last season's, just to clarify. I think really what it was is obviously it was the Mercedes and the Ferrari, so it's completely different, right? All drivers are somewhere else this year. Not unfortunately, but unfortunately we won't get to see the same fight, right?
Yeah, of course.
But in regards to that, I really don't think it's going to be as close this year. I really don't think it will be. I think what will be more interesting to see is the AlphaTauri and the Alpine, because what we want to see from them is we want to see the battle. We want to see the P2 battle, the drivers, the constructors. That's who's going for P2 right now as it stands, right? So if everything stays this way for the rest of this race, we will see the Red Bull have quite an advantage on both teams. So I want to see next week who's going to be able to secure the second position, right? Who's going to really put themselves in front. I think what we saw from Richardson and Hunt last year will be what we see between Cole and Hunt this year.
Very close fights.
And I think, honestly, what is important to take into next weekend is that the Red Bull, it's definitely something to keep in mind, but it's not something you need to be as concerned about, when it's behind you, like maybe the AlphaTauri was this week, right? I think Spa does give all the cars a chance to kind of have their own space and get away, right? It's a wonderful track, one of my favorite. So I think, all the opportunities we see on that track are going to be driver skill competitions again. I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record and repeat myself, but that's simply going to be the case. Back to the Red Bull here. We were talking about it quite a bit. Back to the Red Bull here. Coming into the first corner, these tires do look like they're degraded quite a bit, and it looks like there's a bit of wear, and we're seeing that in the turns and the braking zones. But keeping quite a good pace here. What was that lap there? I believe that was lap 19.
Lap 19. It was a 127.1310.
Okay, actually slower than expected. We weren't really keeping up, but to me that seems quite a bit slower than expected. No?
So I think he is trying to save these tires. He's had the same lap time basically since lap 10. Oh, sorry, lap 9. He's had the same lap times.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, definitely saving the tires is probably the play here. I mean, he has a sizable gap. He has lapped the car behind. I know it says 13 seconds on the leaderboard up at the top left here, but it is in fact still lapped, right? Cole is still lapped. It's important to keep that in mind. So, maybe the play for Red Bull is to not worry about so much the AlphaTauri unlapping itself or even getting up behind them, but it's to keep these tires long enough to where you still have that gap, right? It's still important.
Yeah, of
But
course.
all they need is about 20 to 25 seconds. So right now, we see
Oh, what's going
that
on with Cole? He's
most
just
likely
jumped from
probably
13.
just slowing down for the grip here. Yeah, it looks like he's locking up and having some problems here. Going a little slower than maybe they want to here, but what can you do? But as I was saying, the Red Bull, 30-second gap here. So saving the tires is probably the play here so that they can kind of push them maybe another 5 or so laps. I'm not sure what the drivers are saying about their tires, if anything, but my thoughts would be the next 5 to 10 laps we see some pit stops, some tire changes, and hopefully that gives the AlphaTauri a chance to get unlapped and get a little closer, and then we might see some pretty close racing here. Because the AlphaTauri definitely is looking for first here. They definitely need those points. They want to secure those points and really dominate that lead on Alpine and even challenge the Red Bull at that point, right? A little wide from the Red Bull, definitely losing some grip as we see another little bit of understeer there. I think I'm not too sure, but we did see a little bit of a slide there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. All I can say is hopefully these problems that we're having this week with the grip and the drivers is resolved in Spa, because that would be quite a shame to see, kind of the same situation where we have 2 to 3 cars out of the race. Let's face it, it's 2 to 3 cars out of the race due to the grip problems, right? I mean, we saw a couple collisions, but I don't think that really took anyone out of the race, surprisingly. I mean, I'm sure there was some damage, but it looks like it's manageable.
I think it's going to be close because when we go to Spa, I don't know, the weather's unpredictable, and it likes to rain in Spa.
We have seen a lot of rain action there in the past. That's definitely true.
So, what do you think? What do you think the weather's going to be just like here in Mexico? Just good enough to race in, or is it going to be raining?
I mean, that is like tossing a coin. It could go either way. We could have rain, we could have bad conditions, we could have sun and no bad and good conditions, right? I think for me, I think the thing we have to be worried about is if it is raining, is it gonna be unsafe? We've seen in the past, McLarens, things like that, have quite serious collisions. Or not collisions, quite serious spins and damage and really bad collisions, bad issues when it rains. So I'm definitely thinking that if we are looking at rain, the CRRC might have to, red flag another session, and that would really suck. So for me, I'm hoping, right? I'm hoping there isn't any rain.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a really good race at Spa. I mean, I know a lot of drivers personally that I've talked to, Richardson, Hunt, that I've recently talked to after the last Grand Prix. In Spa, they said they love the track, so I would love to see it sunny and nice for them. Will that happen? We don't know, right? We know from a league perspective that there will be more rain this season, right? That's kind of something that's not so much of a toss-up. We know that the league is not afraid of rain. They like to keep the rain races on. But will it be raining in Spa? Will it coincide, right? Is the weather going to go with that idea of more fun, creative racing in different conditions, right? We'll have to see. We will have to see.
I'm just really interested because if it does rain, it's going to be, like you said, is it going to be too dangerous? Or
A little bit of looks like some sliding, some brake lock.
Yeah.
There from the Red Bull, but the Red Bulls managed to save it. And as much as we're talking about driver skill in Spa, I think we do have to talk about it here. The Alpine, the AlphaTauri, and the Aston Martin, all having a lot of issues here. But what we have not talked about is how the Red Bull has had these same issues. But look at them. The car is still on the track. They have not hit the wall, and we've seen multiple cases where they've done the same thing. So let's keep that in mind here.
Last lap for Richardson. It was a 1:29, 2 seconds slower than his average time for the past 10 laps.
I mean, yeah, I think we just saw that at the end there. That
I think
slipping on the corner really might have just
he's,
been the whole 2 seconds itself, no?
yeah, his tires I think are just starting to give out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, as you can see, that corner he's usually pretty good about keeping on the track, because that paint there on the edge, well, it doesn't look like much. It's very much like Paul Ricard in France. It does slow the car down. It does, in fact, slow the car down. So it is something to keep in mind, that going off the track there is really detrimental to your momentum, right? So, you know, if I'm the drivers, I'm trying to avoid that at all costs. And it looks like Richardson will be in the pits. Let's go on board here. Red Bull is in the pits. They are at the farthest... Oh, my. They're at the farthest pit stop. So here, our assumption is that he's probably also getting the wing repaired. Right? I mean, that's probably a safe assumption to make.
I think he's stayed on the same tire or has changed to back to another pair of C3s.
Yeah, I think that is a C3 here. It's hard to see, but yeah, that is a new pair of C3s. We can tell they don't look as worn. So they replaced the front wing, and he is now on the C3. So let's see what will happen in this race. He still has the lead. Has Cole unlapped himself is the question. I don't believe so. There's clearly been some issue here. Oh my, and the AlphaTauri is spinning around and round, and going into the pits for repairs as well. So, oh my, I'm really not even sure what to really, say here. I mean, it looks to me like the Red Bull has just won this. We're only on lap 25, but it looks to me like the Red Bull has won this race. Now, let's talk about this. What does happen if the AlphaTauri also goes out of the session here? What is the protocol?
I do believe they're just gonna red flag it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We've never. I mean, in the entire season league history, I don't think we've ever seen. I don't think we've ever seen a race start with 4, 5, 6 cars, whatever it was, and then end up with one car running. I don't think that's happened.
I think it's just an unlucky turn of events that's happened this weekend. I don't believe it's going to happen any other weekend. But let's just see what Richardson can do on these fresh tyres. Let's see if he can set a fastest lap. Let's see if he can do anything like that.
Definitely. It's definitely unfortunate. It is looking like the AlphaTauri will be out of the session here. And the AlphaTauri is, in fact, out of the session. It's just been confirmed that either it's going to be in for extensive repair or it's out of the session. My thoughts there would be out of the session. Obviously, we don't know what's going on in the garage right now. We don't know what the team's discussing. But judging by the amount of damage and spinning, I would say that they're probably out. They might even have some internal vehicle damage. Maybe some fluid leak, maybe some engine trouble, gearbox. The car's been shaken up. It's very possible that it is not drivable or not safely drivable anymore. But the Red Bull seems to be setting purple sectors here.
Hold up, here, Nick. At 29.5, fastest sector one throughout here, and the 31.6, which is also the fastest. During,
I did just see the timing light of purple here. Let's see, will this be fastest lap of the race? Just waiting on that sector 3 time. Okay, it should have just come across. What did we get here?
It's gonna be a 1:21.86, fastest lap of the race.
Wow, that is extremely fast. Did that beat his qualifying time? What was his qualifying time?
I will get that for you now. Oh my god, his qualifying time was a 1:21.815.
Okay, so only a couple tenths of a second there off, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. I mean, obviously, right now it's not looking like Oh, apparently the AlphaTauri is back on track actually. But right now it's not looking like
I think he's giving it one more go. I think they've repaired the body damage, but as we can see, that engine, he's just not going as fast. So
Yeah,
I do believe
definitely.
he does have
It
the
definitely
power
looks
damage.
like. It definitely looks like we were right, and the team was trying to give it a go. But you know, I'm sure they're seeing the data on their screens now. I think it's probably safest. You know, if the team doesn't call him back, that the CRRC calls him back here, because this could be just a danger to the other drivers here. The car looks very slow.
I believe
And
we just.
oh my goodness, there's a collision between the AlphaTauri and the Red Bull. The AlphaTauri clearly there having some problems and just unexpectedly slowing way down on the corner. The Red Bull's still going. Obviously he's not going to be too happy about that. Let's see if we can go on board with him.
That was
Okay.
a moment.
And I don't think we're gonna be able to play the radio, but yeah, he's just complained to his team there about the other drivers. So I'm not sure if we missed something on that corner, but I think the complaint really just was the speed there. I think that was the complaint.
Nick, I think if you look into Richardson's eyes, you can see the lion's fury coming out after that one.
I mean, it's quite hard to see his eyes, but very well could be. We'll go back up to this cam, see, you know, let's take a lap on board with the Red Bull here. A little tight on that corner. That was a little early, I feel, on the brake and on the apex, but, you know, he's not racing anyone. It's him versus the clock, and quite frankly, I mean, I don't think he's going to be going for another fastest lap. I think he just wants to secure the points, and maybe not even do another pit stop here. So, it wouldn't surprise me to just see him kind of drop those 127s, and take it very slow and steady.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either, Nick. Just to maybe relax, calm it down. And I do think is Colt out the race, do you think?
Well, we can take a check here. No, it does seem that the AlphaTauri is still on track. It is still on track. Is it out of the race? Could be. Let's see what the other cams have for us here.
Yeah, I think he's just struggling here. Okay, we've got his last lap time was 2 minutes and 11 seconds. Oh,
and he is
my
spun again.
God.
Yep. I was
Straight
just about
into
to
the
say
pit.
that.
Back to where he should go. Jesus.
And it looks like he
Yeah,
will be going off here. I think they've called him back. I don't think this is, well,
They've had enough.
I hate to say it, but this might even be worse than, Monza, the first race of the season. You know, I hate to be that guy, but
Sorry, but in Monza we saw the Alpine flipping, doing something.
that's true.
on
We saw
skates.
some flips. We saw some major collisions with major incidents with the Alpine, skipping the corner. A lot of the chicane, the first chicane. I hate to be that guy, but I think so far this season it's pretty much been a write-off for every team except Red Bull.
Yeah.
We have not seen the Ferrari team back out on track yet. You know, it is the third race of the season. This is getting concerning. We have heard news from Williams that, well, actually the Haas driver, Kuno, has been released by Haas and will be going to Williams already. It's already been signed. The deal's already complete. I believe the CR Times updated us with that information, and then Williams shortly after confirmed it. But they're expecting him to race Belgium for Williams. Will it happen? I don't know. That'll be something we'll have to see. But, you know, aside from that, we have received no news from Ferrari or McLaren, which is Marino and James's team, those two guys. We don't know what's going on, right? They haven't competed. Nobody's really been competing. So this season is already looking like another concerning run. Luckily, we have a few extra races this season compared to last season. So it kind of gives, teams the ability to say, okay, the first 3 races, they weren't great. And let's keep in mind that Cole is still in the pits. I just want to mention that. But anyways, it gives...
I do believe that he is retired.
Okay, so Cole has retired as well. Okay, well then it's only the Red Bull, and it's only a matter of time before everybody kind of realizes this, and we see the red flag come out. It'll be interesting to see what the CRRC decides to do in terms of points and everything. But I mean, not that I don't know the specifics of the situation, but as far as I'm concerned, I mean, the Red Bull showed up. There was at least 3 other competitors, or 2 other competitors, for a total of 3 competitors. You know, if they don't get any points, I think it'd be fair to say they're going to be quite upset.
That is true.
Because, I mean, he's been driving really well. Red Bull has been doing good. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not gonna steal the CRRC's job. We'll let them deliver the news on that. And, if we get it soon enough to tell everyone, we will. If not, you'll hear about it next week. We are here every week. Sometimes there are delays on the upload of this review, on the upload of the coverage, but every week we will be here, and there will be an update. In other news, some Red Bull's having some trouble again, almost into the wall there, almost doing an AlphaTauri. Luckily not, keeping it on track, and he will probably pick up the pace this next lap again. Yeah, realistically, I don't see anything else but a red flag, and I hope that the Red Bull does get the points it deserves for this race, because they have had a fairly well-driven race. Like, we cannot say that this has really been a bad race for them. I mean, obviously it sucks the situation, it sucks the grip issues everyone's been having, but they did race very well given the circumstances, and in general, just a good, clean race.
It's been a very, very difficult race for Cole, and George for a first time appearance. But I think that it's just a stroke of just bad luck.
Stroke of bad luck here for multiple teams. I guess it would be fair to say, hopefully we see everyone in competition next week in Spa. A little bit of an update for Spa. For those who have not been keeping up with the updates provided by the CRRC, essentially they have confirmed that the race is not going to be on the planned day. On all of the calendars for CR, all of the Season 2 media, you'll see the 21st as the day for Spa. It is the 22nd now. So it'll be a day later. It will start at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All this will be announced, obviously, as every race is. But the update has just come to us this weekend. So just before the Mexican City Grand Prix, we got this update from CRRC. It will be 9 a.m. on the 22nd. Generally, it's 10 a.m. on the Saturday. This time it will be Sunday, but an hour earlier. So that won't really affect coverage. I don't think. It might be out later than usual, but this one I believe is out later as well, just due to some processing delays we already are aware of. On top of that, it's going to be something to note, and yeah, all other cars are in. So I guess we can just hang with the Red Bull and kind of discuss some updates.
Yeah, of course.
The good news though is we have been notified by the CRRC that there will be a prize adjustment. So due to the fact that these first 3 races weren't really as expected, my understanding is there will be an increased prize pool for the 4th weekend, even though it is rescheduled. That's my understanding. We'll have to keep up to date with that as it comes, but for anyone interested, if you are interested in joining, if you are interested in getting in on the action, make sure you contact a team manager. Make sure you get yourself in the know before this weekend, because I think this will be the biggest prize pool we've had. Completely free to join. I would like to remind everyone of that. So if you're interested, make sure to click the links that will be provided in the description, in the Twitch chat, anywhere where you're watching this. The link will be provided somehow. So just check description, comments, chat, whatever it might be. Check it out. get involved before next weekend, right? I'm not sure. What is the Ollie? Are you aware of the deadline date for competitors of next week?
It's gotta be at least 3 days before the race, preferably, because the CRRC does have to obviously put your details in, give you the car, put you in the team, etc. And that's really it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think majority is definitely. I mean, there is only 10 teams, but there's 2 slots per team. So as long as you are in contact with one of those team managers and they know, you might be able to even push it further than that. But the CRRC is really the person who decides, right? They issue you your license as well as the car, the number, everything like that. So you're going to have to confirm with them. But keep in mind, this is the biggest prize pool we will probably have this season at least. I'm not sure, but I've been told it's up. It may be $50 this week for the race winner, plus the same prizes for the driver's champion and the constructor champion, which is I believe it's 75 for the driver and 25 for the constructor, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100%. Yeah. Okay.
I'll get everything up. So normally it is 10 Canadian. Steam gift card for every race win. It's 75 Canadian for the driver's champion, and 25 Canadian for the constructor's champion, and 1 month of Disco Nitro for the driver's champion as well.
Wonderful. So that's a pretty big prize pool overall, because that is $10 a race if you win every race. So Richardson's doing pretty well.
$170 if he does win.
Anyways, the important part of that is obviously, if you aren't sure about it, guys, anyone who is not involved in the league, I mean, as much as I would love to commentate this very exciting race, it seems Richardson is on his own here. So we'll keep you updated. We'll give you some stats as we come into the end here. I know that most likely we are going to see the red flag because Cole is in the pits. They're not indicating they will exit anytime. So I think the CRRC is just kind of letting the Red Bull have some fun here, realistically, but it looks like it will be a red flag shortly. But yeah, guys, if you are interested and you haven't yet done it, I mean, it's completely free to join. There's no buy-ins. The teams, everybody covers all those kind of costs. If you don't have any of the vehicles, etc., CR is willing to provide those, right? It's a completely free to join league. It is, ideal to provide the content yourself. So if you have the details, if you need the details of what content we use, make sure to join the Discord. Link will also be description, chat, and comments wherever it might be. But it is important, again, that you get in a couple days early. There's nothing to lose. If you haven't tried it yet, feel free to practice. Make sure you join the Discord. Information will be provided, right? Certain rules, regulations. But really, there's nothing to lose, guys. You have an opportunity to win $50. And that's $40 more than usual. So if you weren't sure about it, I think this is a great week to try it out. What are your thoughts on that, Ollie?
I'm thinking that it's a big price pool. And obviously, a lot of updates are on Wispy. If everyone doesn't know, if you join the Discord, everything's in there. A lot of the team's news, driver announcements are posted on there and the Discord. But yeah, $50, that's a lot, especially for one race. Normally it's 10, but $50, it's a lot to win. Especially if you win other races, it just keeps coming in after time. And it's, as you said, it's free of charge to join the league.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it is for fun, guys. I mean, I can't confirm that the prize pool will be that amount, but that's what we've been told. You will have to wait for the CRRC to confirm it. And CRRC, for those who don't know, is basically the governing body for the racing championship. They decide the prizes, they decide the cars, they certify the drivers, all that kind of info. So they're basically the regulator of all the events, the races, the teams, everything is on them. But, we aren't confirming it here as an official statement from them, but, this is more than likely going to be the prize this weekend. So make sure you come out for weekend 4, January 22nd, 2023. Um,
Like I said, it's posted on Wispy, Discord, etc. So just look in there and you'll know.
Absolutely, guys. Um, you know, we've kind of pushed that a lot. You know, this race obviously has not ended the way anyone expected. Just like last week, we've got some unexpected turn of events here. But is there anything else really you can think of, Ollie, that we might want to share here while we're just watching the wonderful Red Bull drive around the track a few more times?
Not anything in my mind. Just that I hope to see everyone out in Spa.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, well, I'm checking here in case there's anything that we've just been sent by CR. And there is not really. I mean, the only thing I could think of is kind of doing a quick schedule review. So, obviously up next on the 22nd, remember, correction, not the 21st anymore, it's been rescheduled for the 22nd. Round 4 will be Spa, will be Belgium. Round 5, we are heading down under to Australia for the Melbourne, the Albert Park circuit for round 5. Round 6, Montreal, you know, in Canada, obviously. And then round 7, we have Suzuka, Japan. Always a fun race there. Probably another wet race we'll see in Suzuka. And then round 8, Silverstone. So the famous Silverstone circuit. That's always a fun race. That's always a fun race.
I've always enjoyed that one. Nick, what about you?
It is quite the race. I always have fun at Silverstone, and you know, it's quite a fun race to commentate on. There's a lot of overtaking opportunity, a lot of good racing to be had. And then, you know, after that, round 9 is going to be in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, at the Jeddah circuit. I forget the exact name, but yeah, that will be at Jeddah. Round 10, Barcelona, another fan favorite. A lot of enjoyment, a lot of good races coming out of there. Round 11, going to a street circuit, the 25th of March. That's Baku, Azerbaijan. So. And then there's obviously more after. There's the rest of the rounds up to 17. But, you know, for what we're covering here, it's looking like quite an exciting calendar of good races to come. So that being said, everyone, we have just gotten the confirmation that the session will be red flagged by the CRRC. Okay, so it is red flag now. Race control is showing the red flag. Yeah, race controls showing the red flag, and that will be the end. Other than that, I think that is all for us this week. I do apologize, everyone, for the sort of lack of, you know, commentation at the end there. But unfortunately, this is gonna be all we have, and the end of this is just the Red Bull pulling into the pits here, so we're going to cut the live feed there. But thanks, everyone, for tuning in again. Quite exciting weekend 3. The ending, not so much, but hopefully next week in Spa we have it. But from us, I believe that's going to be all. Ollie, anything to add before we sign off here?
I just hope to see you in Belgium, and have a nice day.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.